Hi and welcome to the introduction to ArchiCAD, and today I will go through ArchiCAD and its capabilities and how to use it to draw a basic floor plan and export it into Illustrator or Photoshop. So to start with, I've started ArchiCAD 26, and most of the recent versions, they all look the same. So to the left-hand side, you've got the arrow tool, and then you've got a marquee tool. And then if I pull this out, you've got a wall end, or windows, slab, and so on. And then under document, you got a documentation tool such as text, fill, lines, splines, and so on. At the top here, you've got an info box, and it's got different tools here as well. So you got, for example, trace, trim, split, pick up parameters, and inject parameters, and obviously the save button. And you've also got the menu up here at the top. So up here at File, you got File, Save As, and then inside View, you've got trace options, so same as this here. So it's got basically the same tools as down at Design and Document, but more specific and more advanced options. Okay, and if we move on from toolbars, we can then look at the palettes here, which are the project map, the view map, layout book, and publisher set. And I'll explain what the differences are between these. However, before we do that, I would like for us to delete everything before we get started, because there's a lot of things when you start a project. There's a lot of templates and documents that are already set up for documentation. And in our instance, we just want to design something. So we can select something at the top and hold Shift and click at the last one. And then we can go down here and click delete all. So we've deleted everything there. And then if we go into layout book, we can do the same thing here. We just need to, so it's going to say the project must always contain at least one layout. So we can leave one layout here. So we can, for example, leave the site plan. We'll select everything except the site plan. Delete, site survey and up, delete. Okay, the reason is because the site plan sits within that folder. We can pull the site plan out of these folders just by pressing down and then pulling it up. Select these and delete. So we've got the site plan by its own, and then we've got another folder that's called masters. So under masters, you can see a whole range of different page sizes. So A1, cover page, landscape title block, and so on, and then A3 and A4s. Just want to double click on the site plan and see what the size is. And now what we can do is just right click on the site plan and say layout settings. And it's assigned to a master layout, which is called A1 cover page. Okay, it's good to know. So we can probably change it to a A3 cover page and press OK. So that changed everything. You can select everything in here and click delete. So we know it's assigned to A3 cover page now. We want to delete everything except the A3 cover page. There we go. So that's our master, which is telling us what size it is, and then we're assigning it to a layout. Okay, and I'll come back to this a little bit later. Okay, and then if we go on to the next window, which is called Publisher Sets, and press one level up, we've got a whole range of folders in here. Let's select all of them and delete. And then you can press the plus sign down here, new Publisher Set, and just name a drawing, for example. Create, go. Okay, so I'll go back, now that I've deleted everything, I'll go back into my project map, which is the first one, and double click on ground. So we'll get back into here. And as you can see, we've got some elevation markers here already preset, and then 2 section markers. And if you zoom in, they're assigned to a drawing ID, which we haven't really assigned quite yet, but we can actually keep them there if we want to, or delete them. But let's say we'll delete them here. Delete, delete anyways. Okay, so they're gone from here now, and the elevations as well. Okay, so project map is where you set up your project. So you set up your stories or your levels, your sections, and your 3D views, such as, so you got your 3D perspective and an axonometric. And the view map is actually where you keep all your views, and I'll explain that in a second. So let's say we draw so in here we can draw something just by clicking the wall, and we can draw we'll draw a normal wall. So we've got different types of wall we can draw up here. If I hold the button, it's going to give me different options. So just a straight wall, a continuous wall, a wall that is taken from different points. So let's say I want a continuous wall. I'll click. And it's giving me guidelines as well. If you want to lock it into a certain guideline, you can hold Shift. See, I can't move it now. Click and click. However, note that this blue line is on the inside. I always want my blue line to be on the outside. So the way to fix it is just actually to flip this. So you click there, and then it's flipped. So I've drawn a set of walls, and they correspond to a layer. So up here, I got all my layers. So there's a lot of layers in here, but they are already preset to a wall and wall external. And let's say I want to draw some more walls in here. So I want to draw some internal walls. Not going to know that it's internal walls. So what I can do is select the walls and click up here and go down to internal walls. Okay, so if I click here, it's now on internal, and these are on external. Okay, so I want to save this view, this exact view, and I've got my scale down here, and let's say the scale is 1 to 100, and I want to save this view. I can right click here on the ground and say save current view. Okay, and then I'll press, and I want to unclick this because whenever I open this, I want it to open in this view. So I'll press create, and then I'll go into my next one, which is the view map, and see it's appeared here. Okay, let's say I want a view with that shows my ground floor without the internal walls. What I can do then is either make a copy here, or I can go back and make a copy. So I can right click, save current view, create, go back to view map. It's created another one, and I can name this without internal walls. Okay, so ground without internal walls. How do I actually change this? I have to select the walls, right click, go to layers, hide layer. And however, this hasn't been saved yet. So the way to save it is to right click here and redefine with current window settings. So if I go into ground floor without internal walls, say different ones. And if I go into my layer settings, I can see this being displayed as well. So if I go Control L, brings all the layers up. So L for layers, and you can go down here. So you can see that that layer is actually off in this view. Okay, so this could be, for example, for your site plan, or you have a plan with furniture and you want to show a plan without the furniture, or there's so many different use cases, or you have 2 or 3 different variations of a certain design and you want to show them to a client, and you can layer them differently. So say design option 1, 2, and 3. Okay, got that. So we know the difference between project map and view map. So always work in your view map. So I want to bring my other views here as well over. So I'll right click there, save current view, create. I'll untick this, create, roof, save current view. Okay, so I've got my ground floor without internal walls, first floor, and roof. Okay, so I want to draw something on my first floor now. However, I don't know where my ground floor is. The easiest way to get an X-ray view of the floor below is to right click. So I've double clicked on my first floor, right click on the floor below, and say show as trace reference. So see that pops up. And what you can do then is click on the wall, and let's say it's actually got the same outline. So we'll draw from left to right. Okay, always draw from left to right. That's how you can get your outside face facing the right direction. And it's actually, the way we know it's intersecting is when the pen turns black. There we go. That's intersecting. And then we've got the roof, so we can double click on the roof, and it's actually showing the ground floor as a trace reference. What we can do now is actually trace reference the first floor. And we want to draw a roof. So there's different types of roof. We've got obviously the hip roof, the gable, skillion, and so on. So I'll show you different ways you can draw a roof. Go to a standard roof. I'll click there, and it's automatically chosen a geometry method multi-plane roof. And we'll select the external walls, and it's drawn a roof for us there. And this is a traditional hip roof. Let's say I want a gable roof. You can actually click here and stretch the horizontal ridge. So you got the ridge line, which is this line here. And I want to stretch that across. And let's say I want to stretch it across as well. Actually, let's say only one side is a gable roof. So I can show you this in 3D. So if we click up here to show all in 3D, you can see a 3D view of this. And it's not showing us that view. So if we click on O for orbit, you'll get a view. You can now turn it around by simply pressing the left hand mouse. Okay, so you got your ground floor, first floor, a roof. If you click on it, you're going to see it up here as well. So you can see the wall type and then the roof type. Okay, so there's different roof types in here with different thicknesses and profiles. And this is a basic composite roof. So you can change this to a single composite, and you have more materials in here. So let's say it's a timber roof. Okay, and then you can change the thickness. Let's say it's a 300 thick roof. And we can change the overhang, which is the offset. So at the moment, there is a 550 mil overhang. Let's say I want it to be 600. These will affect the custom planes. Okay. So the custom plane was this gable end. So I want to extrude this up because for obvious reasons. So see when I select the whole, I select the external walls, it's actually grouped it, and I only want to extrude this plane. The way I can do it is by suspend groups, so up here, and then that lets me select that individually. I could also go and ungroup it. So if I unclick this and right click, then I can actually ungroup it as well. Let me just somewhere here, edit, grouping, ungroup. Okay. However, it's sometimes good to have it grouped, and then you can just go suspend groups. Then I only want to change this. You can pull this up all the way there, for example, and then we want to cut this excess off. And the easiest way to do that is to select the roof and press Control 0. I need to pull this up a little bit more. Control 0. Okay, it's not letting me do that. Maybe because of this storage. Click on it. And the way you can usually should work with a Control 0, but however, if it doesn't let you do that, you can click on the wall, right click, connect, trim elements to roof or shell. Try that again. Connect, trim. You need to select the roof. That's the roof. And we want to keep that. There we go. So we've got rid of that. Okay. We'll try another roof shape. So we can go into 2D view again by either clicking here or pressing F2. So F2 is 2D view, F3 is 3D view. F2 and F3. Okay. So see, we can see our roof on the first floor as well. We actually drew it on the roof plan, but you can make it show up on your first floor with outlines as well. Let's say you don't want to show that. You can right click on it and go on to roof selection settings, Control T. So good thing here, you got all the shortcuts next to it. And for any setting, whether it be wall setting, roof setting, window, and so on, if you select on it and press Control T, you get into the setting menu. Got into the setting menu, and down here, it says floor plan display. So at the moment, it says show on stories custom. If we just want to show it on the home story, which is, it's actually situated on the roof story. The roof story is the home story for the roof. Then we can click on home story only and press OK. And then we get a window that says as a result of the last operation elements change position, and you press continue, and that will move them. And the reason why it's still showing up is, okay, now it's moved. Okay. So roof, first, cool. But it is actually good to show it on the second last story. So we'll go back to it, right click or Control T, say home story and one story down. See, go, play order, center back. Just send it to the back because I couldn't see the walls underneath it. So you can right click on it. So similar to Illustrator, sometimes, or InDesign, you have things that are forward or backwards, or most closer to you, and then certain things that are way to the back. So we can change the display order and send to the back. Okay. All right. So if we go into 3D view, this is what we see. We press on O for orbit. We don't have any slabs. So what we can do is F2 and draw a slab. So there's different ways we can draw a slab. Traditional way is just to click on slab tool. You've got different geometry methods. One is using the polygonal way. So you can just click, 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 or click, click, click. So that's our slab now. So if I move it across by clicking Control D, or you can actually click it and click here. Move node. You can move a node, or if you want to move the whole thing, it's drag. Oh, it's very good to get familiarized with shortcuts. It just speeds up your workflow. So Control D is to move something. Okay. Now we've got a slab. I believe I drew it on the first floor. And I can copy that. I know it's going to be the same for the ground floor. Paste it in by the trace. Paste that. So we've got a box around there that says something's been pasted. We just click to the side here. It should have been pasted there. And go into 3D view again. Delete that one there. Now we should have actually the different slabs. We've got one here, and then if we, and one there. If we remove that wall, we can see we have a slab here, our internal wall here and there. We might want to change the material to the same as here. You can go Control T. So we've got different materials here. Let's say I want a brick wall, a brick stack bond. Brick, you can actually type it in here. Brick, stack bond, and then that's the internal wall. So that's why it's important to indicate where your external wall is. So always have the blue line on the outside because it's going to reference back to this. And the inside face could be white, for example. I'll just type in white paint, something like that, and then press OK. That's it there. Let's say I want to make all my walls the same. We can then either go in 3D or 2D. To change this, we press F2, for example. I want to know which wall it was, if it was this or that one. We can now Control T. So no, we know it's not this wall, it's that wall that we changed. And we want all the external walls to be the same. What we can do is hold Alt, or the same tool as this, essentially, pick up parameters. So Alt, then press on the wall. Okay, so we're picking up the settings of this. And then we press Control Alt to inject the same settings. Okay, so you only want the external walls to be there. So if we go into 3D view, you can see that's done it for everything. We can do the same thing for these ones as well. So if we do it in 3D view, Control Alt, see what that did? It pushed it down because it's picking up the settings from this wall. So it's picking up the settings that this is actually 3 meters, and that needs to be 3 meters as well. Or the linked story is the roof. So we want to undo that. And we can go transfer. No, there's different ways of doing it. You can go into the settings here, element settings, and change that if you want to, or the quickest way is to do that. Oops, and then fill it up again like that. Okay, because it remembers that this roof is cut to that wall. And we might want to put in some doors and windows. So if we go onto the ground floor, and let's say we've got a door. So once we click on the door, we've got the sizes up here, okay? Or we can go, so I've clicked on the door and go Control T, and I can choose the door type, okay? So I'll select the door, and then see that we have a 900 there. I don't want to be going around afterwards and deleting all of these labels. So what we can do inside of model attributes, we just click there, and then we go down to tags and labeling, and then unclick. Okay, so we've got rid of that, and press OK. Now, the way you insert a door is always have the sun with the line on the outside. Okay, so it means the sun is out on the exterior. Okay, and then you can, I've just clicked once, and then you have the freedom to choose what way or what direction. So let's say we're opening the door inwards and to the right. Click. Okay, let's say there's a door here as well. Same thing there, and then a door here as well. Okay, and then you can click escape. Then we want to put in some windows. Same deal there. You can double click here to get different types of windows. Let's say we want a simple window. You can change things in here, fixed glass, sliding, double hang, so on. You can get a preview of that. So that's how it's going to look like. So it's a side hang. Let's say you want a fixed glass. Okay, and we don't want to show the marker on the floor plan. So we'll say no markers, and then press OK. Same thing there. You have to have the sun on the outside to indicate where the internal and exterior is. If you want to change the size, you simply go up here and say, let's say 1500. You have the sill, which is the bottom of the window, or you can change it to the header to wall base at 2400. So the top of the window is at 2400. Okay, so 15 by 1500. And you can do the same thing here. Click on Alt and then copy it. You have the same settings. Okay, and then let's say you have these two. You want to change them to a 1800, for example. There you go. All right, so we've got that, and we go into 3D view. We can see that's been done, and we might want to change this so it lines up with the height of. So I've just clicked here, clicked on the node, and clicked on this one, which is stretch vertically, or you can stretch it horizontally. I want to stretch it to line it up with the windows. You might want to beef this one up to 1200. That's it. And then we can change this to inside here, door setting, door leaf. Might want to be a glass door. And we can change it looks a little bit funny now, but we can change this to be down here. We can go into no contours. It usually looks a little bit better. Okay, let's escape. Then F2, so go into 2D view. So I don't want to show my walls this detailed, and I don't like how it's like all the colors. So the easiest way to change this is to go into pen sets. So under options, element attributes, and pens and colors. And see down here, we've got the pen set here, which is modeling, which is currently being used. So number 4 is being used in this instance. We have different types of pens. The easiest way, so usually you'd use different pens for different users, whether it's electrical, structural, detailing, and so on. For us, we only want to keep it very simple. So we'll delete everything, and then we'll rename it and call it, for example, my custom pens. And you can name it your own name, so you know it's yours. And then press OK for my custom pens, and then you can change the weight of each one. You can start, for example, with a 0.05, say 0.1, and then 0.15, for example, 0.18, 25, 35, 50, 75, 80, 90, and then 1. Okay. You can change the description here if you want to as well. And then you have a few colors. You can add a few colors if you want as well. And you can keep changing it to suit whatever style you want. So see how I added a custom. You want to store this as, and then overwrite your custom pens. Overwrite, okay, press OK, and all of this will change now. And I'm still not happy with the colors, and I'm not happy that it's got like a different layers with the wall. So I want to keep my wall simple, and it's just for a studio project. I want to export it and keep it very simple and clean. Okay, I might hide this slab in this instance. So I might create another one, and I can copy this by holding Control and pull it down and say ground without slab. Okay, it's sometimes easier to work with a slab. You can go layer, hide layer, so it's no longer showing the slab, and then I have to redefine with current window settings, and then I can double click on that. So here it's showing the slab, here it's not showing the slab. Okay, so going back to the walls, I want to show this in a much cleaner way. So one way we can do it is this wall type, to change it to a single composite wall. So we've got different building materials here. We can keep it, for example, concrete block structural, or you can go brick and then say 250 is fine. However, I don't want to show it as that. I'd rather show it as a solid fill. And there's different ways you can do that. You can, for example, select all the walls and go into Control T. And then in here, scroll down a little bit. Under cut surfaces, we can go override cut and fill paints. And we can say both. And then in here, cut fill foreground pen, go into black and black and press. Okay, that way it's showing up much more cleaner. Okay, you might want to put some text here as well, saying, but the way I did it, we just double click on here and click here, double click there, and then say bed, right, use capital letters, bed 1, bed 2. And the way I'm duplicating it is Control Shift D rather than Control D. So Control D will move it, Control Shift D, I'll press Control Shift D, will move a copy. Okay, and then I'm going to save this view, redefine my current window settings. If I want to add some dimensions, you click on dimensions, click once here. It's going to pick up the walls, click and click. And then I'll right click and press OK. I can pull it out and click. Okay, and the same thing, press Alt, do the same thing here. Let's say I only want the external. You can actually zoom in, hold Control. So I've highlighted this, hold Control, click here. Same thing there. Control, click here. Control, or I can duplicate this. So Control Shift D, move it away, click, click, click. So I'm holding Control. I'm getting rid of these intermediate ones, for example, something like that. Okay, and redefine. To make it a habit to redefine with current window settings. So this sits on or sort of assigned to a layer. But let's say it was internal dimensions or some other dimensions, you can move it across. There's another way you can do things is using fills. So if you double click here, fill, and then go into drafting fills, there's a lot of different fill types you can use. For example, if you want to use it for tiles, so you got the grid 60 by 60, which is, I believe, a 600 by 600 grid. And I'll click here. There, that's going to insert tiles for me. And I can change the color of the, say that's a brighter tile. And then I can click Alt. And another way I can do this is if I want to fill this area, I can hold spacebar and see how that is highlighting everything around it. I can do that as well. So I want to change this, and this is maybe like a timber decking or more like a wooden texture, or I can change this to wooden plank. Yep. Let's say I don't like it to be running this way. I can change it, and the way I can do it is here. I can up here. Sorry, should be up here. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry, should be here, and then move fill handle. So it's the first option. Then we can rotate it. So whether I want it that direction or horizontal or vertical. Okay, and you can click here as well. Then we can change the distance. So you can start manipulating distance between the boards. Same thing here. Let's say I want these tiles to line up with here. I can go into there. Same thing there. I want it to line up that wall. Okay. All right. So we've got a basic floor plan and the roof. We'll go back and change the roof. So if we go up to the roof, we'll turn on the trace reference. I think it's got a cover fill, so we'll hide the cover fill. Down here, it's not going to have any fill. That's okay. There we go. So we can see what's happening underneath. Okay, so I'll delete this roof and start with another roof. So click on the roof and then go single plane geometry and click on here. And then this is a rectangular method, or whether we want it to be a complex roof. So we'll keep it rectangular for now. And we're going to go around small. So where is the pitching point? That's where I'm defining it to. So I'm defining this point or this line to be the pitching point. And then the eye should be towards where it's sloping down to. And then I'm drawing my rectangle. Okay. And then I'll try to show it in 3D. Okay, see how it's sloping? I think I must have done that wrong. Okay, let's try it again. Roof. Well, let's put the eye where it's sloping to the top. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the eye should be where it's actually sloping up to. And then I go Control T. I do not want the background pen. So line click. Okay, and then I want to offset that as well. So the way you can offset it is either offset the edge alone or offset all edges. So generally you would have an offset of maybe 600, let's say. Press OK, then you can press F3. See, it looks a little bit funny. And we'll bring this one back down. Okay, I'll bring it down to, let's say, a 5-degree roof. Okay, we have the same problem as the gable end. These walls needs to extend now. Whether you do with the same material or you have another material, we can, let's say we continue with the same material. We can then pull, I've selected these 3 individually and click on any point at the top. Okay, so we can click up here and we want to stretch it. Stretch it, go. Let's press Control 0. Let's try this way this time, and then crop element to top. We say okay, crop. So now it's cropped. All right, and see how this slab is not showing the same material as the walls. There's different ways we can go about it. First, change this to a basics. There we go. That did it for that one. And we'll say this is concrete actually. Concrete. And then we can change the outside of that to be same material. We had the stack bond. Okay, there we go. I want to put some windows here as well. All right. We might want to have a site as well. There's different ways we can do a site. So if we go back into the project map, and we've got different levels here, ground, first, and roof. So what about site? We can go into the story settings and we'll click on the ground floor and we want to insert something below, which is called site. Depending on how big your site is, you can change it out. But let's say there's a fall of 6 meters from top to bottom of the site. We might keep it at 6 meters there. And then we want to insert another level below, which is called trace. Trace for anything you want to trace or put as a reference. We'll press OK. And this doesn't really matter. You just want 2D elements there. So you can actually put 0 there. Okay. Let's say these ones are created now. Your site, you want to save curve view and create. It's created here. You might want to pull that up. Depends on, put the roof up. The site is here. And then you have a trace. You can save curve view. Create, and your trace is done here. Cool. So let's say you have a sketch that you want to put in and trace over. We can then go in and find a drawing of your sketch and bring it in. So we have a sketch here that we want to bring in. I'm just going to drag and drop it. There's different ways you can do this. You can either go File, External Content, and place External Drawing. Remember to always have this referenced to the position, or else similar to InDesign, it's going to get lost if you have it on a desktop and it's not there anymore. So import that one and open. Okay, so we're on the trace layer and we want to move this over. So we can press Control D to move it over. We'll move it over here and we'll hide the trace. Okay, and then we'll go up to the ground floor and we want to show whatever is on the trace layer. So we can right click and say show. See, we're not sure if this is to scale, what scale this is. When you scan things, take a photo, things can change. So the easiest way we can do this is just going back into the trace layer and click on the drawing. Click on M for measure. And this is 4.3 by 3.9. To me, it looks almost right, but what we can do, if we know the measurement of something, so let's say that this entry is rather than 1.6, it is 2 meters. What we can do to resize this is right click and actually use right click. So the way I usually do it is I press Control K, which is resize. It's the shortcut for resize. I'm sure it is somewhere around here. Yeah. So edit, reshape, resize. So Control K. Okay. Control K, and then Control K. You can change it by percentage if you want, or you define it graphically. So press OK, and you know this point to this point is 2 meters, so 2000. So we're working in millimeters, and then press OK. So it's going to resize it automatically. Okay, and if you're drawn it to scale, then everything else should work. So now we, instead of 4.3, we have it at 5.1 almost by 4.5. So it's a quite generous space. Okay, and then I'll go back into my ground floor. It's referenced here, and I can then, for example, start my floor plan similar way. You can go around like that. There we go. And so either I want to select individual walls, or if I want it as a group, I can unsuspend groups. However, let's say I want the wall, the external walls, to be on that side. What I can do is click on suspend groups and then click on one of the edges and then offset all edges by 250. So the wall thickness is 250. So now I've got it on the outside. Okay, so that's one way you can trace things very quickly, resize objects or drawings, or even your whole drawing here. If you wanted to resize it, you can go Control K, OK, change that. All right, and if you want to change, let's say you want to change a structure wall, you can select the adjacent walls to it, and then click on the blue line, and either you want to offset all edges or just offset that edge, so you can stretch that. And for example, let's say you want a curved wall here, you can click these two walls, click on the very edge, and fillet/chamfer. Then you can change the radius, let's say to 500, then press OK. So you got a small curve there. You've got the polyline, for example, and it's a line that is, continuous. And let's say I would like to manipulate that line. Before I draw a wall, you can then click on it, and then you get a whole heap of offset all edges, curve edge, so you can curve that to a specific radius, for example. And let's say move this by pressing Control D. Let's say I want a building that is like this. Put that in, hold Shift, and let's say I want my building to be something like that. I can then click on, by holding Alt, click on the wall, hold Spacebar, and click. So I've got my walls. It's Alt G to unsuspend the groups and pull it over. And then I want slab to follow that as well. I can click on slab, hold Spacebar, and I want the slab to sit on the exterior of the wall. So I've got a slab and a wall, and if I press F3, that's it there. I can duplicate that, or I can click on that, Control Shift D, pull it up to there, change it to first, press 0. There we go. That's one of my volumes. Okay, so I'll just press F2. Okay, so let's say you want this to be exported to, or you want to export it as a PDF. You want to publish it. So we've got it here, and it's gonna turn off trace. We'll move this away. I want to export this drawing in particular. We can go into the layout book. I've named this site plan. Well, let's rename this actually. I'll click on properties down here, and we name it ground floor. Okay, and then I'll right click here, place drawing, get a window with all my views, and I want the ground, just a simple ground. Place. So it came in, and it came in with a scale bar because I set it up as a 1 to 100 beginning. Okay, you can change the scale up here. However, I wouldn't recommend changing it here because your text will not correspond to the scale. So say that the text is too small, so rather go back and change everything in here. So you can open the source view, which is the same thing as going back to, okay, so if I go in here, click here, I know that ground is sitting on ground. This is basically similar to InDesign. You've linked a file or linked a view inside a sheet, okay? And that's your layout book, and you lay things out here. So let's say I want my first floor to be the next sheet. So what you can do is hold Control. I've selected this, hold Control, and pull it down. It's just going to copy it. However, I can change this and say first floor down here, and then I'll click here and right click and link drawing to. So I want to link it to first, a link. Okay. The reason why it's different style because I haven't changed it. I haven't matched the style to the first floor as the ground floor. So we can quickly do that. right, open source view, and then go into the ground floor. And I'll just pick up the settings from this one and go up to first floor and just Control Alt to inject the settings. Okay, and then go back here. That's all sorted. Okay, so say the name here is first ground, and the reason the name is there is because we've named it here. So whatever you name it here, it's gonna name it. So let's say we say ground X. And if we go back here, it should say ground X as well, even though this is called ground floor. Okay, and then we want to publish our drawings, and we want it to be A3, so that's why we set it up as A3 at the beginning. But you can obviously set up new masters, let's say A1 or A2 or A0. You just do that there, and you can call it A1, create, and let's say your first floor to be on A1. You can go to layout settings, A1, okay, and that's changed to A1, which is, and we want to change that actually to a portrait. See, that's on A1. You can actually bring the other drawing into it as well. Let's say, click on that, Control C for copy, go into first floor, Control V, gonna paste that in place, move it up, okay. Let's say, for example, we don't want these, we don't want the text and all of that, like these labels. We can easily turn that off. We go Control T for the settings, and inside here you got title, and you can turn this by saying no title, and then that's remove that. Okay, now we want this as a PDF. That takes us to the publisher set. So inside the publisher sets, we go into the drawings, and we want to put these onto here as a PDF. So you got properties and format. You want to click the project chooser and go into show organizer. It's essentially going to give us two views of the organizer, or so it's the view editor. Okay, so we want to bring this as a publisher set, which is that, and then the layout book. The layout book, it's actually showing this drawing. If we go back, it's going to show us the ground X. First floor, we can actually rename this and say ground and first floor. And we want to bring it over to here. Not here, but you have to create a folder in here. You can name it drawings, for example. Double click and then drag it across. Okay, if I click here, I can choose what type of format. Go DWG, or you can go PDF. So if you click PDF and you want to export just this item here, you can click selected items or the whole set if you have multiple drawings. So let's say we'll pull this over as well. So ground floor and the first floor, and entire set, document options, right click here, publishing properties. Either you want to have it as separate files, or you can create a single file PDF path. So you choose wherever you want to save it as, desktop, okay, then we'll publish. We might just publish one of them for the sake of it. We'll say selected items. Publish, so it's published drawing, and I should find it on my desktop. There we go. Crisp lines, all vectorized. And we can bring this into Photoshop or Illustrator quite easily and clean it up if we wanted to. Or let's say we don't want the dimension strings, we can get rid of them, or we get rid of them actually before we export them. I'll just show you. Open, tutorial, open. Okay, we want to select everything, and we want to go object, clipping mask, and release. And you might have to do this a few times. Clipping mask, release, clipping mask, release. Okay, there we go. Compound path. Okay, that's it. Then we'll select everything outside it to just get rid of the information. There we go. Might actually want to get rid of these ones as well. Okay, and then you can go into layers and create a few layers in here. So we can say this is the walls, windows. Let's see what we can pick up actually. So we want to select this and go into select same, fill and stroke. Okay, so it's picked up a few things that has the same fill and stroke. Let's see what that is actually. All right, and we want to put it up to the third one. So you can pull it up to the third one. I think these are eve lines. Okay, and what I could do is hide these two layers. There we go. I'm not sure why it's showing up there, so we can delete that. We can delete that as well. Okay, so we only want these. These are the lines for the eaves. Okay, we can lock that, and there we go. Okay, we do the same thing for these lines. Select, same. There we go. So I think it's picked up all the hatches. So we can create a new layer called hatches, hatching. Pull that up. There we go. So we can hide everything else. These ones are individual lines. Okay. Oh, they've been split up somehow. Let's see if I can join them. Control J, I think it is. Did that work? Kind of. Okay, the end bits wants to join as well. Okay, we can keep that, but it's on a separate layer, so we can change that whenever we want. Okay, and then we go into there, hide that as well. We'll check the windows as well. Select same, fill and stroke. I think it's picked up all the windows, but it might have picked up something else as well. We'll pull that up to windows and then hide this. Okay, so it's picked up the windows and doors. Let's say if I wanted to split the doors into something else, I can just create a new one and say doors and pull that up to there. There we go. So doors, select these properties. I usually like to click here, workspace, and choose Essential Classic. That way I get more options. I want to change this maybe to a 0.25. Okay, and then my layers. Okay, what else? I have the text here. Okay, I've got a whole bunch of fills here that I don't like. I think that's the result of the hatching for the floor. I can go select, same, and stroke. I can get rid of it, just delete it. I'll select these ones as well. I think these ones are part of the window. So select, fill and stroke. Those are part of the windows as well. So I'll just pull it up to the window. That's it. Select. I think this is part of the floor. I think we can get rid of that, to be honest. So if we turn everything on, hatching should probably come down. There we go. I think something's missing. Yeah, it's got a fill on top. Select, same, and stroke. You can actually move it, arrange, center back. There we go. That's it. What you can do as well with the walls, so I'll hide everything. With these ones, obviously you can change it to a nicer font. Let's say maybe. And I want to join all of these fills. So what you can do is select everything except these two. So I'm holding Shift to unselect these. And then go into Pathfinder and join it. Do the same thing here. Do the same thing here. So join. So you could either keep it this style, actually. I don't mind this style. Very minimalistic. Or you can actually assign. You would have to trim this back, but let's say you can actually assign either a white color in. There we go. So we got rid of the hatching. That was white. You can make it black, or let's say you want to make it blue, and then you can make these ones the same color. Actually, let's say you want to change that to the similar one as well. Actually create another layer called text and then pull it up there. You don't want any stroke. And you can do the same thing here for all the doors. So let's say you want to select all the doors. You can just click here and it selects all the doors. And if you want to do the same thing with the windows, you can do that there as well. And you go into the stroke, select the color, and say you want it to be blue as well. And then you can link this to your InDesign file, for example. Just save this, save as on your computer, tutorial, Illustrator file, save, okay, and then you can link it back into your InDesign file. All right, thanks for tuning in. I think that I've covered most of the things that I wanted to cover. Obviously, there's way more you can explore, such as, columns, beams, objects, and so on, rendering. There's a lot, but I think in almost 1.5 hours, I've covered most of the things that I wanted to cover. Yeah, just drop a comment on if there's anything particular that you didn't understand or you want me to share for the next video. Thank you.